Hi everyone, I hope you're doing well. So today I actually wanted to do a little video on why after a spiritual awakening, you often start to feel the sense of, your life is starting to crumble and really fall apart. Now, as long as we are unaware that we are not our mind, we actually live in this physical body as if our desires are the end all be all in, living our life. If you can think about from a very young age, you start to identify yourself through your ego and wanting to basically satisfy that ego by various different accomplishments. From a very young age, you start to identify yourself through school, making sure your voice is heard, standing out, and we constantly feed this ego through our individual accomplishments. So really, at an individual level, we understand ourselves to be me, myself, what I've accomplished. With each certificate that we gain, with each accomplishment that we gain, that sense of self, that individual self, only deepens, and we do anything we can to protect it. If somebody challenges our personal or religious or even spiritual beliefs, we get very irritated and agitated and do whatever we can to prove that that individual sense of self is correct. And this is simply because we've spent years building that individual identity, and challenging it, really kind of makes us almost feel that what we've done, what we've become is almost not true. And so that illusion of the mind that that is who we are, we do anything and everything we can to sustain it. Now, as you go through a spiritual awakening, you start to shift in vibration and your state of consciousness. And so really what's happening that is not actually visible to your physical eyes is that you are starting to shift in vibration, and, where you previously found satisfaction in pleasing your own individual desires, your own individual sense of self, that is starting to fall apart. Because as you move towards pure consciousness, you lose the ego, which is your individual self, and are now starting to work towards that state of oneness. And therefore, anything that is just about you starts to fall apart. Those beliefs that you had, those passions that you had, those desires that you have that were really self-fulfilling are no longer pleasing to you anymore. And you are finding yourself looking to see how you can help and serve others, which is now your new purpose. And really what's happening is that inner goal and that inner state of peace that you are now trying to work towards, you want that to become something that now reflects on the outside world, in the 3D. So just to say that your inner purpose, now it brings you fulfillment to bring that into your outer world. So if your individual sense of self is crumbling, you are now seeking how you can, recognizing once you reach that state of oneness, and in that process of getting there, as you understand that you are not your individual self, but rather part of something greater and something bigger and magnificent, you want to be able to do that to help others on the outside. And that is why you see that shift happening from the inside out. Now, just to give you some key examples of the ego versus your soul, really what that looks like is, and as you make the shift really, is the ego is more about fulfilling your own individual desires, versus the soul is looking to serve its divine and also others because recognizing that everybody is part of that state of oneness, you want to be able to be of service to others. The ego is mortal versus the soul is really eternal. The ego is always going to experience lack. It'll never really be happy with its current state. It's always looking to fulfill the next best thing, versus the soul is always happy in its present moment with its truth and is always abundant. And therefore, when you see these shifts happening from the inside out, really it's the dissolving of your ego that's happening as you reach these higher states of consciousness. And that is where your new fulfillment will be found. Thank you so much for listening. I really hope this was helpful. God bless.